One and go. And we're live. Tonight we're bringing you the 2023 Toyota Tundra redesign for the third generation. It's been 14, almost 15 years or so since the introduction of the second gen. And I'm here with David Chao from Automotive Press. As you guys know, he knows a lot about Toyota, so he's a perfect guest for this event tonight. So David just got back from work. David, how was your day at work?
I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me, Kirk. We're both so passionate about these things that it just keeps us awake almost at night thinking about this introduction. So other than that, you're in the warm Florida and I'm in cold Canadian climate.
Mm-hmm.
You and I always think alike. So thanks so much. We're very excited.
Of course, of course. Uh, okay, so everyone kind of knows, everyone in the chat kind of knows what happened earlier today with the leaks. So we'll try our best to not talk about it too much. But Dave, do you have any big hopes or what you're wanting to see tonight from the big reveal?
Right. Yeah. So I guess Motor accidentally revealed all the photos. So that's unfortunate for them, but for viewers, I guess it was a bit of a candy store today. You got to see a lot of stuff. I'm just mainly looking forward to more details, right? In terms of how much it shares with the Tundra, because it shares a lot, and what the differences are. So yeah, I'm very excited about Sequoia and what else they might reveal tonight. And let's see, this is like Kirk and I'm going through the journey with you so we can learn together what the Sequoia and other stuff might be coming out tonight.
Yeah, we know the V8's gone, just like the Tundra, and that's a tough thing for so many people to get over. And you and I have been talking this week about the Tundra and some of the issues that they're having with quality control. Did you want to add anything or just share your thoughts or opinions about what's going on with the Tundra and your personal experience with the Tundra as well?
Right. Yeah. So I drove the Tundra. Well, we all drove it back in the back in the day when we had the press launch, and then I drove it again last week. And actually, you know what? The second time is better. The engine just seems to feel better. These are production models, and we all love V8 engine. Believe me, I also love the V8 engine, but it comes pretty close in terms of just the overall driving feel and the character. There were some minor quality issues I pointed out on one of my videos earlier, but nothing out of the ordinary for a first launch.
Yeah.
And that also will continue to get better, right? So we're very confident that it's going to mature to become a really truly first-class model. And maybe for Sequoia especially, they would have ironed out some bugs that they learned from Tundra over to Sequoia. I hope so anyway. Yeah, I mean, we don't know when the Sequoia will be launched and arriving at dealership. That's a big deal, I think, for us to find out.
Right.
And I know there's lots of little things that people might or might not be annoyed by the new Sequoia, like the fact they might not have the rear sliding window. That seems to come up a lot on my channel. But I guess we can't have everything, so it comes down to what's acceptable and what's not. So
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited. I know a lot about the vehicle already. I'm hoping Toyota has maybe a little bit more special information for us tonight. But yeah, just looking at the TRD Pro Sequoia, I'm expecting to hear a lot about the TRD Pro tonight. But yeah, I mean, Lunar Rock looks good. It'll be interesting to see if they give it the solar octane treatment like the Tundra got. So it's an all new. We haven't seen it on any other TRD Pro models, right? Because the 4Runner and the Tacoma, right? They got the lime colors, essentially the lemon and the lime colors. So yeah, it'll be fun to see what kind of color they splash on the new Sequoia TRD Pro.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's I mean, I think most people have seen it now because of the leaked photos, and I also show some of the leaked photos in my channel, so most of us know what it's going to look like, which is fine because there's a lot more details to come tonight. Yeah, I think some people are asking what's happening tonight. I guess, Kirk, 6:30. We're supposed to get all the
Yeah.
information, right?
So embargo ends 6:30 Pacific time or 9:30 Eastern time. So I always like starting my streams early to get everyone up to speed and just to have fun. Like, I'm not here just to give you guys information. I'm here to enjoy our time together and talk about cars together, because you know, we know a lot of people in our daily lives, but not all the people we know like to talk about cars. So this is a special opportunity for me and David, this case, to just hang out with you guys, talk about cars, answer some questions, and have a good time. And then of course we'll get into the big information here in 25 minutes or so.
Yeah, and I wish I had my. I think most people know I bought the Tundra. I purchased it, but it got delayed now 6-7 times, and it delayed 2 months. I was supposed to be the first person to get it in Canada, but now it's 2 months behind. It's supposed to be here in 2 weeks. I wish I had it already so I can talk about it now, but not going to happen, I guess, for a couple more weeks. But I do have a deposit on the Sequoia too, Kirk. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have a deposit on the Sequoia.
I have a feeling, you know, you might enjoy one of those more than the other. So
maybe
we'll see.
That's true. Yeah,
because you really enjoy your 4Runner, right?
I love the 4Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I owned the 2016, 17, 2018, 2019 4Runner. So I'm all for 4Runner, even though it's different from Sequoia. It's still a great truck. I would love to get to be honest, I almost canceled the Tundra to buy the Lexus GX because I was getting tired of waiting. But I'm going to be patient a little bit more. Everyone wants to know about what the Tundra is going to be like when I own it. So I can't quite give up on it yet. So I'm still here for you guys to own that thing.
Sure. So what we're looking at here is just my B-roll that I took of the TRD Pro Sequoia. Ironically, I'm actually getting another Sequoia for review tomorrow morning. So it must be a 2022 model year, which you're looking as a 21. So I mean, my review of it is not going to be much different than the 21. So, I mean, what do you guys want to see out of my time with the 2022 Sequoia? Because we know the 2023, what we're seeing for the first time tonight, is completely different. So I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but it'll be fun because Sequoia is on our minds right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to be to go with the flow here and have a kind of a forest background because Sequoia means large cedar tree, right, from California. Yep. It's not quite the Sequoia background, but kind of to get into the mood, right, Kirk?
Yeah, no, it's very festive of you. I enjoy it.
But we gotta meet somewhere. I gotta go visit you, or you have to come visit Vancouver. You know, we gotta make that happen somehow.
Especially when things are a little bit easier. The guidelines are a little bit easier to travel. So, I believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, so we can have a future where we can travel a little bit easier. But I'm gonna tab out of the B-roll here, at least for now. This is the landing site. So this original post here from Toyota was the 20th, and they said, tune in to the world premiere next Tuesday, January 25th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Stay up to speed with all the latest at this link, which takes us to here. And I don't see like a video. This image right here could turn into a video or a live stream of some sort. I just don't know. And if we go to the Toyota page, I've been refreshing this all day. I don't see anything over here for like a live stream. So I don't know. I'm assuming that I'll just refresh this page at 9:30 and then we're free to talk about it. So it's interesting.
And I did, as you know, Kirk, I came up with a bunch of rendering like as far back as 6-7 months ago, and so I'm glad that the actual Sequoia looks pretty close to my rendering.
Pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah. So I'm happy.
And we had a good basis to start with because we know it's going to share so much with the Tundra. So that definitely helped you out with the good designs there.
Yeah.
So I had a poll before the stream started, 615 votes. I said, what are you looking forward to the most about the new Sequoia? 33% of you said new powertrains, towing capacity, just a new powertrain capacity. 45% of you said improved styling. That's really surprising to me that you guys care about styling that much. And then interior features was the lowest, which to me maybe would have been higher on the list, but the luxurious fleet has spoken on this occasion. But I'm going to start a new poll, and it's a lot of you guys in the chat not that long ago were talking about what kind of sales numbers the new Sequoia is going to have against the competition. So what I'm going to, and we'll get into the sales comparison because I have those tabs up here in a second. But what I want to do is start a new poll talking about which vehicle in that segment would you be most interested in buying. Now, this is all before you know the details on the new Sequoia. So, and Dave, if you see anything in the chat you want to comment on while I'm creating this poll, feel free, man.
Sure. Yeah, I missed a few here, but I guess some people are still wondering whether we would get tow hooks on the Sequoia. I don't think so, but I know it's a very sensitive subject with many of you guys, and I agree that it should have been there, but I think it's part of a whole process for reducing costs and simplifying the models. So I don't think we're going to get that in the Sequoia, unfortunately. But when I get Tundra, eventually I'll find a way to put tow hooks in there, and I'll share that information with you guys. Yeah, and then about the wastegate, the turbocharged wastegate thing, I talked about it in the video, another very sensitive subject. Mm-hmm. But so far, just scanning through the different forums, talking to some dealers and even customers through the Facebook accounts and stuff, it's still isolated case. It's not like some people are making it look like every Tundra is having that problem. That is definitely not the case. From what I can gather, just in terms of looking at it from a higher perspective, I think it's about 5% or 3 to 5% seems to have some kind of a check engine light issue. But when they go through diagnostic and they clear the code, for many people, it's not coming back and not turning out to be a problem with wastegate. So, we'll figure out, I'm sure we'll find out in a month or two exactly what's happening with that. But I think it's a handful of a problem, not a widespread issue. And knock on the wood, hopefully that's true, and I'm not going to have the same problem when I get my Tundra. But
I hope not.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm interested to see how this story develops and to see how widespread the issue becomes, or not widespread at all. It could be such a small isolated case. We just don't know yet. We do have a donation, $2 from the Taker 610. The C-pillar back made it look like a big Cherokee. So what we see here, the C-pillar here is a D-pillar in the back. If it looks a little like the Cherokee, I'm okay. I've always enjoyed the styling of the Grand Cherokee. So what are your thoughts, David?
Yeah, you know what? It looks, I don't know if you can bring up the picture of a Wagoneer or Grand Wagoneer. It looks really close in terms of the rear tail lamp design and the rear design. But like I said, I think they look great. So, it still has the kind of traditional Toyota look. It's very much a Highlander look. And that's expected, right? Because they're going to carry the family resemblance all the way through. But I had a Wagoneer a couple months ago as a press car. And yeah, from the rear view, it's so much like Sequoia. I'm pretty sure that's intentional. They're going after the ones that are getting good design feedback. So yeah, like the one you have there.
Yeah, I agree. The proportions look pretty darn similar to the Grand Wagoneer, which in my mind, I was thinking Grand Wagoneer would be just a little bit bigger because the word grand in it, like I'm thinking noticeably, and I haven't tested the vehicle yet. So maybe that's where I'm a little off, but the proportions don't look that far off from the new Sequoia. And there are so many options in the large SUV segment. with my poll that I just created. If you haven't voted, go ahead and check that out in the chat. With the new Sequoia coming, which full-size SUV do you want most? So the Grand Wagoneer would be in column D, because I just threw the rest of the SUVs in that segment in there. And 85% of you picked the Sequoia. So I think this would be, what are we looking at time-wise? We got 15 more minutes. I think this would be a good time to talk about sales figures, because as much as the demand is going to be there for the Sequoia, I don't think Toyota will be able to meet the potential demand. We know the issues with the supply chain going on. I mean, and the Tundra seemingly was delayed, maybe because of it. And availability, in your case, it's already been delayed for you getting your own Tundra. Mm-hmm. So just looking at the sales numbers, at the end of the first generation Sequoia, we had really high sales volume for the Sequoia anyways.
Hey, Kirk, there's
2005. Go ahead.
Super chat there. I don't know if
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Matthew, he's throwing $5 Canadian. David, we love your channel. Exactly. What are you buying this year? Also, what do you think when you compare the Tundra versus the Sequoia? Go at it.
All right. So in case you didn't know, I still operate as a full-time engineer. So I have an engineering consulting firm. And so we have a fleet of 5 cars that gets rotated every so often, almost every year. So I buy usually 2 or 3 cars a year. So I'm buying the Tundra for myself, and the Sequoia might be for one of my other managers, although it might be a little bit big for our garage in our office. And then if the 4Runner comes out, the new 4Runner comes out end of this year, that one is still a big question mark. Then I might, by that time, I might change the Tundra to the 4Runner. So those are my purchasing plan this year. I'm not sure if anything else will change depending on what comes out. Maybe, who knows? We'd love to get BZ4X, but there's already a long waiting list for that. So I think we'll have to wait a bit for that model. Yeah,
there's already a long waiting list for it, and we don't even know when it's going to be available, other than sometime this year, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe summer.
Maybe summer. Yeah, late summer. And then between Sequoia and Tundra, of course, we'll talk about more of that when it's released. But it's really essentially SUV version of the Tundra, and then Tundra, Sequoia, and the Land Cruiser 300 series all share the same platform, the same TNGA-F platform, same frame, right? Built in different factories, other than Sequoia and Tundra built in the same Texas factory. So you can think of Sequoia as kind of a longer version of a Land Cruiser in many ways, same engine more or less, and I think Sequoia will feel a little bit more settled down. None of us have driven this new Sequoia, but because of the weight in the back and independent rear suspension likely in the back, it's going to feel a little bit better, smoother, more comfortable, but the engine will be same. So if the price is about the same, I'll buy the Sequoia, but I'm sure the Sequoia is going to be quite a bit more than Tundra.
Yeah. It's likely going to be more, but yeah, especially I don't expect a base grade, like an SR or something, like a work truck sort of thing coming for the Sequoia. So it's definitely going to be a higher entry price point compared to the Tundra. And then when it tops out with, let's say it has a capstone, which pretty much has been guaranteed, it might cost more than the Tundra at that point.
I think so. Yeah, it's not going to be cheap for sure.
No. I just want to point out Matthew R gave us 2 $5 Canadian donations. So I'll definitely, when David starts his live streams, I'll be in there donating to David to send those Canadian dollars back to him. And then also Timer Khan says, how did you get a deposit on the Sequoia before release?
Right. So the Canadian sort of a philosophy in the US is a little bit different. But here in Canada, you can go to almost any dealership and then put a deposit on something that has not been introduced anymore, because they have a kind of running list of who's interested in what future product. And they start, basically creating a wait list. And so if you put a deposit, usually $1,000 or sometimes $500, you can kind of put out on hold your name associated with a future product. And then when it's finally released, you are already ahead of the curve because, by that time when it's released, a whole bunch of people will try to put a deposit, but there will be a list already. Now, in the US, not all dealers would do that. Some would. You kind of have to go and look for the ones that will accept your deposit to put your name on the list before it's launched. But there's no fast and hard rules as to what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do. So you just have to figure out from your dealership that you deal with whether they do it for you or not.
Right. We have a couple more super chats here. Let's see here. Plasma Dadle would love to buy a car. I'm assuming you meant car instead of cat. I do it all the time. Don't worry. Love to buy a car without having to beg dealerships not to charge above MSRP. It seems impossible. Yeah, it's tough right now. Buying any car, whether it's new or used, is tough sledding. The odds are against you. You really have to shop around to find a dealership that's willing to deal just at MSRP. Forget about under MSRP. And MSRP is going to be the deal going forward, at least for the next year, in my opinion. What are your thoughts, David?
Yeah, so once again, there's some advantage here. Within Canada, it's illegal to sell it above MSRP. So we don't have to worry about paying above that price. But in the US, anything goes. But you know what? If you kind of carefully monitor the Facebook or the forums, people are constantly talking about dealers that are not marking up. So you might have to go outside your circle, right? Like if you stay with the dealers within the metro area, like a large cities, they usually do have markup. If you go outside that to smaller cities or even out of state, a lot of dealers are willing to sell for with no markup.
Yes.
And you just have to find them. So unfortunately, you got to do a bit of a homework to go and look for these dealers, but they do exist. Honestly, you just have to wait. There's no rush really, right? I like to buy the first one just because I love doing that. But honestly, if I didn't have to do that, I would just wait 6 months or even a year, and then you can just maybe buy it even with a discount by then.
Sure. Yeah. I would love to picture a future where we can buy cars under MSRP. It'll happen eventually, but it just feels so far away from now. We have more super chats. You guys are so active tonight. We really appreciate all the donations. Taker 610, how much longer into a new Patrol QX80/Armada? It still might be a couple more years. David, do you have anything coming out of Japan on the Patrol?
Yeah, there was some kind of speculation that was in one of the magazines a couple months ago, but I think it's still like 2 to 3 years away. So it's definitely not in the near future. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And it'll remain such a good deal in the large SUV market. Maybe not the QX80 because it can get pretty pricey, as it does its best to compete against the LX. With the new LX, I mean, it's got a really tough battle ahead of it. But the Armada to me is a good recommendation in the large SUV market, even though it's a little bit aged. But with the recent refreshes over the past couple of years, it's very competitive still. Brian Smith. Yeah, go ahead, David.
And Armada still has hydraulic steering. And it's got really heavy duty feel to the steering. I love the steering feel of the Armada, solid. Actually. Yeah, super solid.
Yeah. Brian Smith, thank you for the $10. They raised the cargo floor in the leaked photos he saw. He's worried about that limiting cargo space, and he's hoping that it isn't the only configuration, as it won't allow for a large dog crate. Well, if you don't have the third row filled with children or other people, your dog crate's going to fit just fine. But I do share your worries a little bit on that third row, behind the third row. What kind of cargo capacity are we going to see? Even today, I'm not expecting official cargo capacity numbers. That's why I really want to get my hands on it to see what kind of space do we have back there. And for me, in my case, yes, I have a dog, but since I have so many more kids, it's like, okay, well, can I put a bunch of groceries back there in a stroller sort of situation, or maybe even luggage too. So yeah, I have the same worries you do there, Brian. So we'll see here in a little bit, and I still don't think that's going to answer our question until we get our hands on it and be able to figure out what we can fit in the back of this thing.
Hey, I'm gonna just take one question because he asked this couple times from a solid Wolf 34 who said, why doesn't Toyota move production of 4Runner to the US? Well, first of all, the new 4Runner is not out for a while. They, one of the leaked photos showed them releasing it this year in 2022. I'm hearing that the entire, the Prado line, which is linked together with the Lexus GX and the 4Runner, I'm hearing that whole thing might be delayed a little while. So first of all, I don't think it's going to happen this year. Secondly, they always pair these models by platform. So the Lexus GX, the Prado, Toyota Land Prado, which is now sold here, and the 4Runner is the threesome, right? They're the three brothers. So they're going to stay together because that's the easiest way to handle manufacturing. And because they're currently produced in Tahara factory in Japan, in Nagoya area, I think it's going to stay there because they won't split those siblings, because then it's much harder for production to be dealt with efficiently, even though a majority of the 400 buyers might be North American based. That could change down the road, but right now that's the way it is. Yep. So hopefully that answered his question.
Adam Miller saying he loves Toyota reliability, but I feel they're falling behind other large SUVs in terms of efficiency and capability. How do they compete here? Well, I think their iForce Max, again, we don't have official MPG numbers on it yet, whether it's on the Tundra or it's pretty much guaranteed to be on the new Sequoia in some form. We don't know the efficiency. In terms of capability, we know it's very capable, very, very competitive, at least in terms of the numbers. One of the things that I wish Toyota would have included with their new iForce Max powertrain is some sort of more capable inverter where you can put or output a lot more wattage for running electric accessories.
I agree.
Gosh, the Yaris hybrid in Japan has significantly more capability of running accessories than this huge pickup truck that's also a hybrid. So they dropped the ball there, and I don't know what the reason is. I'm sure Toyota has some sort of reason for it. But David, do you have any comments on this one?
Sure. Yeah. You know what Toyota does is every year they introduce like one or two new features to kind of dress up the marketing side of things. So I think they already have these things in plan, and they're just gonna slowly, trigger new features as the year goes by. So there's a reason to buy the newer models. So bet you anything, stuff that we're asking for, like the higher inverter for the power and stuff, will come out in a year or two, I'll bet. Other stuff that we all been asking for, I think will slowly show up.
It's so frustrating that they, if they're just like, okay, we're going to add this huge feature that everyone's asking for just a year later. It's like, man, people just drop, and something like this is not going to come it's not going to be that much more expensive, or it might be standard. That's another thing. So it's like, yeah, it's tough for definitely, early adopters. And that's the thing. Early adopters are always going to get, there's always going to be a tax of some degree. So, we're really close. Just a couple minutes away.
Anything on the page yet, Kirk?
No, I just updated. Nothing on the landing page here. I went to their YouTube page. Nothing here.
Nothing interesting, right?
And then
it's probably not a video then.
Yeah, I at this point I have no idea what's going on. Don't worry, guys. I have materials to give you right at 9:30, which we're like within a minute. So I got stuff to talk about.
Official live stream started. Is there a Toyota live stream? No, I don't think so. Right?
Is there a link?
I don't know.
You guys have? If you guys somebody already posted. So not seeing anything here.
I don't think I haven't seen anything yet.
Nothing here.
Weird.
But I don't want to jump the gun with my materials. I want to see if Toyota has any more surprises for us.
Yeah, I know. You guys can ask anything you want, by the way, and then we will figure out what's going on here. Someone is asking about the GR Corolla. Yeah, I'm excited about the GR Corolla too. Lots of leaked information on that one, and lots of information about that from the Japanese magazines too. It's going to have more power than the GR Yaris, right? It's going to be amazing.
That's what we're hearing. Yeah.
And the Supra, I think the Toyota Supra is going to have a manual transmission this year. That's another rumor. That's
not hard for them to come out with that product. You know, the materials exist already from, the Austrian plant and producing the Z cars and the other BMW products. So
yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, I did own a Supra for 2 years and I sold it late last year, so I don't have it anymore. But it was kind of fun though. I liked it actually. It was completely trouble-free, surprisingly, totally trouble-free. So someone said Toyota just posted something. No, I don't see anything yet. Isn't that weird?
I don't see anything. TFL is doing it, but here we go, guys. I have all the information, so you don't need to leave.
Yeah, we can share everything.
Here we go, and I can run some B-roll for you guys as well. So here we go. 2023 Sequoia full-size SUV is ready to make its mark, and I'm gonna start playing some B-roll for you guys. And maybe I'll read some of this information off screen while you look at the B-roll. That might work. If you guys want to see the press release, just let me know. I'll try to hit on the high points. And here we go. There's a capstone. Oh, wait, what's going on? What's just happened? Do we have a...
I guess something.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Much on YouTube, he said, yeah.
Well, you're looking at the capstone right now.
It's been said that opposites attract. That there are two sides to a coin.
Same seat, right? Exact same seat as the Tundra capstone.
Yeah.
Same interior. And the front grille is smaller, so that's a good thing. A lot of people
It's a good thing.
Yeah, no, yeah. Huge grille.
It looks so much better than the Tundra, at least on the front end. Looks really good.
I'm gonna somehow modify my Tundra's front end to make it look less obnoxious.
So I'm just gonna turn down the volume here.
We're not hearing any sound, by the way, from the video.
Oh, okay, that's actually good because I could get flagged for,
sound, right?
Copyright usage.
Yeah, that's true.
So the MID you're looking at is standard, and the reason that 12-inch MID is standard is because the iForce Max is standard. There's no twin-turbo V6 non-hybrid. And that's the biggest takeaway here. They just showed 9,000 pounds towing capacity. This thing's a beast. And I just got done driving the Lexus LX 600, and there's no hybrid option on it. This thing comes standard with the more potent hybrid powertrain. And it's just so much to talk about. The rear cargo capacity has this unique tray system. I think it's Toyota doing their best to make the best usage of that space. Again, I don't have official cargo capacity numbers, but it does seem to be noticeably different. And also that tray makes an optical illusion to look like the seats fold flat. They don't fold flat into the floor. They fold flat with the second row of seats. And fold flat with the propped up tray that is, I guess, standard. So, David, did you want to say anything?
Oh, yeah. So, my apology. I guess there is a sound because I'm listening to you through my other collaboration thing. So I don't hear the video. But anyway, I mean, honestly, to me, it looks better than Tundra overall from front to back.
Yep.
I mean, I think you guys already know, not only does the Sequoia shares the platform with Tundra, they're going to make the two closer and closer than ever before. That's part of the cost reduction stuff. That's why the interior looks identical, right? I don't even know if there's any difference. And even the wheels of the TRD Pro looks the same as the Tundra TRD Pro.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, they had a little bit more differentiation here and there. So but at least the front grille is different. And I did predict. I took a chance and I predicted that Sequoia would only come in hybrid. So that seems to be the case.
Yep.
And that
we heard
sense.
that going around. Yep.
Yeah,
it does make sense.
It's heavier, bigger, and larger, right?
It is. Yep. We don't know how much, but of course the weight of the Tundra changes depending on the configuration. What I don't know is I don't know if it's standard 4-wheel drive. I would assume it is.
So yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah, so everybody was complaining on the Tundra there is no auto 4-wheel drive, which that means it's a little bit different from all-wheel drive. But with the auto 4-wheel drive, you can leave it in the 4-wheel drive mode in drive pavement, and you don't have to switch back and forth. So I was hoping the Sequoia will have that, because for SUV, but that's what people would expect. But I don't know. I don't think they're going to offer it. They didn't have it in the previous Sequoias. So
yeah. I don't think there's an auto 4-wheel drive option.
I don't. Which is unfortunate, right? That could be another one of those things they're keeping it till a year or 2 years down the road. Yeah, but that's one thing that they should have offered, I think.
Speaking of, so this is a towing video. It has optional all those towing features that the Tundra does. So same technology as I just saw the front end. It has the exact same headlights. You do get the more premium headlights, I think, starting with the Platinum grade, which, by the way, there are 5 grades. You have the SR5, you have the Limited. Those two are going to be your volume sellers. That's probably going to take up like 80% of the volume of the Sequoia, I would expect. And then you have Platinum, which is very similar to the Platinum that we see in the Tundra. Same thing with the TRD Pro model. And then you have the Capstone, which is, I mean, it's an SUV version of the Tundra, but it's standard hybrid. I mean, it's going to be a good seller. And that brings up another question: is Toyota? I mean, we know that they've upped production just a little bit in their San Antonio factory for the new Tundra and Sequoia, because the Sequoia has been produced in Indiana previously. Now they're being built in the same plant, and they're going to have to share production capacity to some degree. And I think that the market's ready for 30, 40, 50,000 units of the new Sequoia. The problem is that they've been selling, let me go real quick to the sales numbers. In 2021, they sold 8,000. So I have no idea how they're going to ramp up production, what the sales numbers are going to be. Any thoughts there, David? I'm sure you have plenty of things to say about production capacity. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I think if you look at the history of the Texas factory, they did end up ramping up the volume a little bit here and there, and they obviously ramped up a little bit more with the Sequoia coming in. But unless they add a whole new section to the factory, they can't dramatically increase the volume. So when they moved the Tacoma out, and then they moved in the Sequoia, there's a gap, right? If you just look at the old numbers. But like you said, the Sequoia should go from 8,000. I totally agree, 8,000 to maybe 30 or 35,000 per year, just because it's all new, it's much more updated. And the Tundra, I'm sure they're hoping, will also increase by about 10%. So what is that? 110 to 130,000 volume per year. So if you add the two together, that's an increase of about 40 to 50,000 K, right? And so that probably isn't quite enough to cover for the loss of the Tacoma production. Tacoma production was always split between Texas and the Mexican factory.
So, the Baja plant.
Yeah, so how much did we lose as a result of moving Tacoma over to Mexico? Maybe 150,000 to 200, and of which 50 to 60,000 is going to be taken up by the new Tundra and new Sequoia. So potentially there's still 80 to 100K left. And so I'm not sure if they want to introduce another new model there, like the 4Runner. I don't think so.
I
Or
don't
are
think
they
so.
so are they just waiting for Tundra and Sequoia to keep increasing in volume so that it makes up for that difference? So those are stuff we don't know yet.
Yeah. I think if they want to do production of the 4Runner elsewhere, I think it would make sense in Mexico. I hate to say it because so many people love the idea that the 4Runner is built in Japan, but as everything gets so similar, like looking at the Sequoia here, it's a spitting image of the Tundra. I could see the 4Runner, at least for the American market, be just an SUV version of the Tacoma. So the lines are going to be blurred between not only the vehicles available here, but also internationally. The Hilux and the Tacoma in the future should be a little bit more similar because they're all sharing the new F platform. So
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, the only thing is the Mexican factories are tapped out in terms of their capacity right now. So I don't know how they're going to squeeze in one more, but they might expand the production capacity, right?
They have the new Guanajuato plant, and I don't know how much volume they're able to pump out there. And I know since they canceled the San Antonio production, I know they've assumed in Guanajuato quite a large share split between them and the Baja plant. So I don't know how it divvies up though.
Yeah, we'll find out. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But some more questions. LX600 versus Sequoia.
Oh, it's funny you bring that. I actually made a spreadsheet for this.
Did you? Yeah. You want to show that?
It's up on the screen. So it is. It's quite fun because we don't know the pricing of the Sequoia, not for a while. Availability, by the way, is summer, which surprised me. I did not expect the Sequoia to be available summer of 2022. And the things we get in the Sequoia, it makes the LX really not a tough sell, but I feel like the old Sequoia and the LX had no common ground at all, other than just being big SUVs. Now they're so darn similar, it's ridiculous. Anyways, the Sequoia, though, has a better powertrain standard. Now, some people might not want a hybrid due to all sorts of reasons with the battery packs, etc. So, but anyways, it has more power, has more torque, it can tow more, has better fuel economy. They both have panoramic 360 camera standard. It's easier and cheaper to get sunshades on the Sequoia. You can get a panoramic roof, guys, on the Sequoia. I think you can get that on the limited package, not on the SR5. I could be wrong, but limited and above pano roof. Can't get a pano roof on the LX. It has a larger, more technological MID, which when I drove the new LX, the small MID doesn't bother me because the heads-up display is good enough where you rarely need to look down. Let's see here. It has a larger screen, but the LX's screens I do like quite a bit. It'll be interesting to see what the screen... I guess I've already tested the screens on the Tundra, so the screen should be exactly the same. I do actually prefer the screen setup. As crazy as it might sound, and I know it doesn't look as clean as the screen setup and the Sequoia and the Tundra, but it is more functional. Yeah, I could keep going. Like, I made this whole list here. I mean, Mark Levinson on an LX is leagues, light years ahead of the JBL system. But I could keep going. David, what are your thoughts here on the LX versus Sequoia? It's a funny conversation. I can't believe we're actually having this conversation, but it's worth having now.
Just because Land Cruiser is not available, right? Well, it's interesting they decide to bring the LX 600 without the hybrid first. You would have thought they would bring the hybrid first for that one and not the hybrid for Sequoia. So that's kind of
right.
It's not too often we get advantaged feature on the Sequoia versus the Lexus. But if you look underneath, the frame is, other than the frame has been lengthened, so people don't sometimes get confused about the TNGA platform, but TNGA platform can be stretched, right? This way, longitudinally, not so much width-wise.
Right.
So you can stretch it, you can stretch the cab, the actual cab. So I really think the two will drive very similarly. I don't know. We'll find out when we drive both. But I really think basically it's a bargain priced LX600 in many ways. And of course, I haven't driven the LX600 yet. You have, Kirk. Because everything else is really similar other than all the nicer features you get in LX600, all the hardware stuff, the chassis, the transmission platform, engine, all that stuff is so similar other than the Sequoia has more power because of a hybrid. So honestly, the Sequoia might drive better, right? It might be more fun to drive. It might be a little bit sportier than LX600, which is probably likely tuned for a much softer ride.
Well, not the
cheaper.
F Sport for sure, not the F Sport, and both of them have adaptive variable suspension. They both have optional 22-inch wheels. The LX being a lot easier to get 22-inch wheels because you can only get those on the Capstone model. Capstone also has acoustic glass for the front passengers, and that's something you typically see on a Lexus. Capstone also has semi-aniline leather, something you also see on a Lexus. You know, we can talk about specs all day, but there's a couple things here that there is no way the Sequoia can touch on the LX, and that's number one, build quality. There are, I don't know very many vehicles in the world that are built as well as a Lexus LX. It's built better and with more care than a Land Cruiser. And when I drove the new LX, it seemed like one of the quietest and not the quietest vehicle I've ever driven in. The new Sequoia is not going to have that same sort of tightness to it compared to an LX, and it's not going to be as quiet. Even the Capstone won't be as quiet as a base LX. But the fact that we're having this conversation means that they're more similar than they are different.
Yeah, they are more similar, and I think you pointed out before, but the LX600 is built in the Yoshiwara factory, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So whereas the 4Runner Prado class is built in the Tahara factory, they're not the same factory. I think there's some confusion with people sometimes. And the Yoshiwara factory is a little bit different because it's the Toyota Auto Body company, which is still part of Toyota, but it's kind of like almost like a subsidiary.
Yeah.
Whereas the Tahara factory, I've been to both. Whereas the Tahara factory is genuine 100% Toyota corporate factory. So it's kind of interesting they build that one in Yoshiwara plant. But I gotta take you there sometime.
I want to go because they build other things there. Like, isn't like the Noah and the Voxy, the Lexus LM is built in the Yoshiwara, I think, as well as like the Velfire and the Alphard vehicles that we don't get here, unfortunately. But those are all vehicles that I admire and want to see, touch, drive one day. So
yeah, they actually, I think, did they build no, they don't build the 70 series Land Cruiser. That's still in Tahara, I think. But
it may be,
It's a spin-off company, right, from kind of subsidiaries. So it's been around since 1945. He said it's been around for a long, long time.
Right after the Second World War.
Yeah,
that plant's been working. It's crazy.
But the Tahara factory is the one that we have to go because it's such a cool factory. It's kind of old and very traditional. But it's a really cool factory, actually.
Yeah. Jonathan asked, LS is built in Tahara. That's correct, I believe, right, David?
LS is built in Tahara, yeah. So most Lexus is built in Tahara now, including even the IS. The IS used to be built in the southern Japan, Kyushu factory, and they consolidated and moved most of the Lexus in the Tahara factory.
And was the GS produced in the Tahara?
Yes, yes, correct. GS is also produced in Tahara, correct. Yeah.
So the new IS actually is built essentially from the bones of the old GS. A lot of people don't realize that. They're like, oh no, it's the same IS. It's just has different body cladding. Well, it's not an all new platform. Toyota's just reusing, or Lexus just reusing the GS platform, modifying it for a smaller package in the IS. So I thought that was interesting when I was talking to some of the engineers from Lexus and Toyota.
Hey, some people are asking about the rear locker for the new Sequoia. I don't know, right? Did they say anything about that in the spec?
Yeah, I'll give you some information. It'll be on the TRD off-road packages, which you can get on the SR5 and the Limited. It is also on the TRD Pro, of course. There might be some instances that it's available outside of those off-road specific packages and models, but those are the only ones that I'm aware of.
Okay.
For the
And is it an independent rear suspension? I think that's confirmed, right?
Yeah.
Rear?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
it would be someone is asking whether it's better than the last generation. It would definitely be better than the last generation. I think it's more stable, more controlled. And
It'll be better. Yeah.
yeah, like even the new Tundra, when you drive that thing, the ride is so different from the old one. Still a little bit bumpy, right? Still a little bit bumpy because it's a truck.
It's still a truck, yeah.
Yeah, but the older one was so unstable when you like hit over a bump on the highway and it just kind of oscillates afterward. But the new Tundra is so stable. So
it's it's planted.
Yeah. Anyway, so is there a picture of a TRD off-road somewhere, Kirk? On the
I don't have TRD off-road media.
Okay.
So I mean, we can go back to the Toyota page, this page, see if there are any more images. But all I had was limited capstone and TRD Pro.
Interesting.
And that looks like that's what we have here.
Okay, I see.
So
they haven't shown everything, I guess.
Not everything, no. You know, Toyota likes to drag it out. So, you know, we'll have all of those trims detailed when like. Probably pricing is detailed, and when media is able to share driving impressions, that'll probably all be about the same time. So what's interesting to me is like when is Toyota going to do this, because it's supposed to be summer of 2022, and Toyota is going to have another ToyotaCon, is what I call it, or HQ Confidential. So they might just do it then. It's a possibility, or they could have a separate event. So anyways, you'll have more information on the Tundra, probably a bunch more right before it goes on sale in the summer. So we're not that far away, even though it's still January. It feels like it's right around the corner.
Yeah, I hope they're not gonna delay everything, maybe 3 to 4 months, which is still possible, right? So let's hope not, but we'll find out soon, I guess.
Robin asked about the inverter. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the 1500 watt inverter like seeing on like the Aqua in Japan. I think it's like 150 watts like we see in the Tundra. Is that all that has? I don't even know. I shouldn't be speaking about it.
I think it's 150 watt. That's a standard one, I think. Yeah.
It's just unfortunate. They really were short-sighted there, Toyota was, which is hard to say, but
apparently it's still solid axle, is that right? Can we confirm that in the press release, or?
If it is a solid axle back there, I guess it's more similar to the LX than I thought. I haven't seen pictures. I was assuming it was like, well, the Tundra has coil springs, but a solid axle. So I guess this is going to be exactly the same as that.
Yeah, so it is probably solid axle. Yeah,
solid axle, but coil springs. I guess the last one had coil springs too, right?
Coil spring. Yeah. No, not the last. Oh, yes, it did. Yeah, I think the Sequoia did have a coil spring. But the other thing is that I know the rear window doesn't go down anymore. Doesn't roll down. Does it? Is there like a flip thing that just opens the rear window on the rear hatch, or? That's a great question.
As I'm looking
picture of a rear, is it like a little button or something that you press to just open the rear
glass
window hatch? Yeah, because
like you do on the GX, like on the GX, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see, because if that would be the case, we would probably see shocks somewhere in here. I don't see any shocks.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, to support that window. I don't think it lifts.
That's too bad. That would have been a nice add-on, just because, it's such a large rear hatch, right?
Yep. Yeah. I don't think it does.
No, I don't think it does. Yeah.
Because they would have talked about it and said they spent their time in the press release talking about their new folding rear compartment area for cargo management. They have a specific word for it, but yeah.
So someone is asking whether if I know or think the same designers behind Tundra and Sequoia will design the Forerunner 6th generation. I don't know, but because the Tundra and Sequoia and Tacoma is only for North American market, whereas the 4Runner goes beyond North American market, even though it's mostly North American market. So I actually think that it will likely share more design cues with the new Hilux, which should also come out in a few years. So I think the design will be a little bit different than between Sequoia and Tundra. I think it will depart a little bit more. No one has seen it, so we don't know for sure. But all Toyotas tend to look similar. So how far can you deviate from these designs? So the teardrop headlight, I think, will be similar. Maybe the grille won't be as big and as aggressive. But and in the rear, would I get the vertical tail lamp or would I get a horizontal one? Well, the trend is all horizontal tail lights from all Toyota, so probably will be horizontal. So it might look a little bit like the current Sequoia. I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
One thing that I don't know if anyone's noticed, it sticks out like a sore thumb in my opinion, is this air dam in the front of the new
Huge,
Sequoia.
right?
I mean, if you look at all the big three, big trucks and SUVs, they all have these cheap, ugly air dams in the front. So it's just what these there's a better image. That's what these automakers have to do to make these get 1 mpg better on the highway. It's unfortunate and it's ugly as heck, but yeah, I'm sure they can be removed. But I don't know if how that would change the dynamics of it at speed.
I think it's not a huge percentage. It's probably like, who knows, maybe 1% difference, but 1% is 1%, right?
Yeah,
and
if
then,
you have, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Kirk.
Well, if you have 30 different things on the vehicle that get 1% better MPG,
Exactly.
It all adds up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other interesting thing is the intake for the turbo behind underneath the headlight. It's smaller on the Sequoia than the Tundra, but there's another hole. There's another intake
right
below. So
right
I'm assuming it's also like, it's hard to tell on this dark color photo, but there appears to be split into 2 intake as opposed to one long one on the Tundra. So that's probably how they're managing it, I guess, to make sure they get enough sufficient air, right? Because there's twin turbo, the air has to go right between the front grille into the turbo, and it eventually goes to the intercooler, of course.
Sure.
So that's the one difference from the Tundra.
So we have over 1,700 votes on which full-size SUV do you want the most. Still 85% with the Sequoia. Obviously, our audiences are extremely biased, as I don't cover anything outside of Asian automakers. But the Palisade and the Telluride, I know that they're not exactly in the same category as their unibody, but there's no doubt that they have shoppers cross-shopping those vehicles with Tahoe's Expeditions, etc. So,
yeah, I'm sure they cross-shop at the similar price range, right? And so forth. But yeah, it looks good. It does look like a Jeep, though. I do admit, and I do admit the rear really does look like a Jeep.
It's a bit Jeepy, yeah. That's not a bad thing. I've always liked how most Jeeps look. So.
What else is happening? Did they show anything like running? Oh, they had a running footage earlier, right?
Yeah, they have some running footage of it towing. They have some running footage of the TRD Pro and of the capstone. One of you guys in the chat said something about the turn signals. You do have sequential turn signals on the higher grades. I believe it's Platinum, TRD Pro, and Capstone. And those also give you upgraded headlights too. So the base grades, SR5 and Limited, they have the base headlights like you see on most, it would be all SR trims, most SR5s, probably even some Limited models have those base headlights too. But I don't think the base headlights look bad by any mean on the Tundra.
What else? So people like to ask about the 4Runner on this on our forum here, but is it 4Runner as wide as the Tundra Sequoia? No, definitely not. So 4Runner, the 4Runner, the Lexus GX, and the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado will have a slightly narrower version of the TNGA-F platform. So it's not the same, not the exact same frame, but it's based off a similar design. So that's one of the questions. Yeah. No pricing information, right? Did they even release the hybrid pricing information for Tundra? Did they?
I don't know anything about hybrid pricing for Tundra.
Okay, nothing on that one then.
So I don't know if that's at a different date. Oh, okay. Is this a different? Oh no, that's the same video we watched already. So the landing page here, 7 to 8. So captain's chairs, I think, are standard on Platinum, Capstone, and TRD Pro, and then bench seating on the lower grades.
So there's no all-wheel drive, guys. Oh, actually, I don't think there is an all-wheel drive, as far as I can tell. I don't know if there's a picture of a dash that shows the high.
Oh, I saw it. I saw the switch earlier. Okay. And so there was no automatic.
No auto.
It was just
drive.
It was just 2 high, 4 high, 4 low. Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be expensive though. I think that's the only thing.
It's gonna be expensive
because I think in the U.S. is a Sequoia about $5,000 more than a similarly equipped Tundra. Is that right? Difference wise.
I mean, I could look up.
Here is like $8,000 difference. So you can just
50K. I mean, if the current Sequoia starts at 50K, what are we talking here?
I think there's about $5,000 to $6,000 difference between the two, but that's gasoline to gasoline comparison. So if it's a hybrid, you're gonna tack on another $2,000 or more or so. So it's gonna be like $7,000 or $8,000 in the Tundra US, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It is. Yeah, I mean I think the TRD Pro that I drove last year was like 65K, somewhere around there.
That's getting so expensive, right?
So expensive.
You know the Platinum. So I bought the Tundra Platinum. It's almost the same price as a Lexus GX. Like I think it's only like $3,000 cheaper. So I keep saying, why am I buying the Tundra? I should just buy the GX. What do you guys think? Should I switch it? Should I cancel my Tundra?
Some of them are saying, hey, cancel the Tundra, get a Sequoia. But I mean, if you don't need all the space of a Sequoia, the GX is still, even though it's outdated compared to this new Sequoia, it's still a peach. I love that truck so much.
That's so good, right?
That's great. And I haven't tested it with the new refresh on the interior refresh with the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and the new screen and stuff. I haven't seen it. So at least in person.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. Is the Gx redesign coming? I heard that from a Japanese magazines that it's got delayed by at least 6 months to a year. But I also heard, this is fresh off one of the Japanese magazines, that they are trying to make the GX be more like a G-Wagon or a Land or Defender, to make it much more rugged, more off-road.
That's what it needs.
So design. They said that they believe the design will be a radical change from the current GX. So I don't know what does that mean for the 4Runner? Maybe both 4Runner and GX along with Prado will move toward that off-road ruggedness feel, which will be cool, right? That'll be really. Would it have the 3.5 twin turbo V6? We don't know that one yet.
I'm going to go out and say that it will, from the sources that I have in Lexus and
the Lexus,
also the trademark of GX 550. I think it very well could be a detuned. So we see the 409 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque in the LX / Land Cruiser, depending on what market you're in and what it's tuned at. But I'm expecting maybe the detuned like we see on the SR grade Tundra, and probably running on regular instead of premium. So, we're talking, was it around 340, 350 horsepower at that point, which is a huge upgrade compared to the 310 or so from the V8. So that's just what I'm expecting. I don't.
But the 4Runner, I
Yeah.
think, might go with 2.4 turbo.
I think that's also a strong
It's a
likelihood.
very
And
strong
then
possibility. Yeah.
and then
So-
I mean, if the Sequoia's standard hybrid, it'll be interesting to see what the 4Runner will be. But the 4Runner sells so much volume.
It is much more than Sequoia, right?
It's like 100,000. Here, let me pull up some sales numbers. Okay,
Yeah,
so
bring it up. Bring it up.
here we are at 8,000 units in 2021 for the Sequoia. And to give that real quick, because I brought up the sales numbers, Tahoe 106,000 units. It sells at 10 to 1. Ford Expedition 8 to 1. Yukon 8 to 1. It's not even it's not even competitive at that point. But now the new one is competitive across the board with all the features, the styling, and the powertrains. Production and availability is going to be the key here. But anyways, we need to look up.
There was a super chat earlier there, Kirk. Something about.
Was it Taker? Those thoughts on the fender, fenders?
Yeah.
Okay. Taker says those thoughts on the fender indentations. Hey, let me go back. This, right here. I mean, those are taken straight from the Tundra. So especially this one, I have no problem with it. I mean, I don't think when SUVs get that big, they look at that amazing anyways. I think the perfect SUV size is around the GX or the 4Runner. So I'm not head over heels for the design. I think it's an improvement. But do you have anything, David, to say about the the wheel arches?
It's just strictly aesthetics, right? It doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think it's there to improve their aerodynamics or anything other than if you look at so A pillar, B pillar. If you look at the B pillar forward, it's almost exactly identical to the Tundra, right? The sheet panels might even be shared, but from B pillar backward is unique and different. So I guess they just want to carry the arches across front and back. Whereas in the Tundra, on the C pillar, it goes up, right? There's a little kink that goes up. Whereas we don't have that until ABCD pillar, I guess, if you want to call it that way, on the Sequoia. So I think it looks pretty cool, but like you said, it's pretty conservative. But in this kind of market, conservative sells. So I think they didn't want to take any chance with a really, really cool looking design. I guess it's a kind of personal preference what the design might look like.
I just pulled up 4Runner sales here. 4Runner sold nearly 145,000 units last year in the U.S. alone. It's just insane.
That's a lot.
It's a ton. It's a ton.
It's so for such an old car, right, or SUV. You know, the funny thing is when the Tundra kept getting delayed for my delivery, my dealer manager said, "David, do you want to just forget Tundra? Do you want to buy a 4Runner again? Because I have one, and you can buy that instead and just deal with Tundra later." And I almost came this close to saying, so forget about the Tundra, I'll buy the 4Runner again. But I decided to hold on and wait a couple more weeks and see what happens.
No matter what you do, you're going to have an awesome new vehicle.
Yeah, looking forward to that, definitely. Yep. I'm going to drive it down to your place, okay, Kirk?
Make sure you have enough. Make sure you have enough gas money.
Yeah, better do that. That's a long way.
Yeah.
One corner to the other corner of North America. Will there be a prime version of the next gen models? It doesn't seem that way. I think they're going to jump right into EVs from hybrids, but it's a little hard to say.
What was the question again?
Whether is there this one came up a couple of times, whether there will be prime plug-in hybrid versions of these new models. So
yeah, it's as much as we would like to see it. I mean, they're already struggling with putting the battery pack
exactly.
I know they're using nickel metal hydride, and density is much different with lithium, but I don't think we're gonna see it.
But I heard just a few days ago, another Japanese source, the Venza should have a plug-in hybrid by summertime. I heard that, so I just heard that.
The Venza. Well, I mean, is
kind of makes sense. It's based on RAV4 anyway.
And Lexus NX. I mean, they're all so similar.
Mm-hmm.
So
I heard that.
My dog's howling in the background. He's telling me I need to go to bed. He's probably right.
Dave and Kirk, will you guys ever come to Detroit Auto Show? Yeah, I used to go to every Detroit Auto Show for like 25 years straight. And then the last several years, just because it's not as interesting and because of COVID and everything and travel, I stopped going. But,
right.
In the old days, the press days at the Detroit was just so amazing. They would like create a whole new staging area just for the press and take it down after like 3 hours of reveal. They used to do crazy reveals for press back in the days, 10 years ago. But those days are gone these days. Cost reduction and simplicity takes over. I still remember like they would fly. They brought in Jay Leno to launch one of the product at the Detroit Auto Show. And Arnold Schwarzenegger came over to launch the Hummer and stuff like that. We had crazy days back 10, 15 years ago.
Danny Alex wants to know how the air suspension works for the Sequoia. It's only the rear air suspension, load leveling, ride height for just the rear. So, did you want to put it? I mean, you're the engineer, so enlighten us.
So it's only like you said, it's only for height adjustment. I haven't driven back to back the air suspension version versus the non-air suspension version. But I suspect it will ride a little bit softer and more comfortable for the air version. But unfortunately, it's not the front. So it's not meant to kind of replace the normal shock system. Instead, simply to complement the existing system by giving you a height control when you're towing or when you have added payload, and but not meant to enhance performance of the ride per se, from my perspective anyway. So I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't offer air suspension all around. But again, it's I think part of the cost reduction
it's a cost thing.
Yeah.
It and from the LX's active ride height is much more complicated than what we see with the airbag control on the rear suspension for the Tundra and the Sequoia.
Hey, someone's saying that they still can see a little button so the rear glass might flip up after all.
That's a possibility, but also could be a button to open the hatch. I don't know. I haven't seen any pictures. There's nothing in the press release talking about the rear glass opening.
Yeah, so it's probably won't, and it's also curved, right? I think if it's curved, it won't likely open. If it's a kind of flat glass, it might. But
this shows the curvature of it here on this image.
Yeah, so I don't. Then it's probably not gonna open.
Yeah. And until I see a picture of it open, I'm not gonna believe.
Yeah, I agree.
New Sequoia looks more masculine than the Highlander. It should. It's a body-on-frame based SUV. It should look pretty macho.
People are still asking about 4Runner. Everybody loves the 4Runner. Would there be a new 4Runner this year? I did say in a number of my videos that it should be shown sometime end of this year, but I'm actually having doubts about that now.
I'm doubting it.
Yeah, I think everything is pushed out 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
So I think it might be early next year, mid next year, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking a year from this fall, a year from this winter, and the Lexus GX probably a year or two after that. That's how far away I think we are from a new GX, because I'm expecting the Prado. The Prado's already delayed, and that's what it's based off of. Yeah.
I think so. So that's okay. We like the GX the way it is. So
yeah, but I'm running out of steam. It's really late for me. I know it's a lot earlier where David is, so he's probably feeling great. But just a few more questions, and then I'm gonna hit the bed.
I agree. Yeah, no, you need to get a rest because we got busy week coming ahead here. But people are asking us to do more collaboration, maybe on the 4Runner. Yeah, we can do something on the 4Runner, right?
Easy. Yeah. We're talking years away though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We can still speculate.
Oh, yeah, that's the fun.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I don't know when we're going to get together, but Kirk and I am producing another collaboration video, just a kind of general high-level stuff to talk about what's coming ahead for this year and what we look forward to. So that should be out in a week or two. And otherwise, yeah, Kirk and I speak to each other almost every couple of weeks. So we will definitely do more again and talk whatever you guys want us to talk about. Let us know what you want us to cover in the future, and we'll be there for you guys.
Yep.
Please don't forget to subscribe for both
Yeah.
of us.
Especially David's channel. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
he's given up more than I am for coming on my stream. So thank you for coming out. And yeah, Automotive Press. Check his stuff out as well as his Instagram. So
thank you. It was fun. Yeah, always have a great time with Kirk. So we're good friends, and we'll continue to come up with some stuff that's interesting for viewers. So yeah, I guess we should let Kirk sleep. I'm gonna go for a bike ride now. No, just kidding.
oh, yeah. It'd be awfully cold bike ride, I'm sure, up in Canada right now.
Kind of, yeah, it is kind of cold.
All right. Well, the chat is giving us they're okay to take off. So thank you, David. It's always a pleasure to have you on. And more importantly, thank you guys for coming out and just having fun with us talking about the new Sequoia. It's a good pickup truck SUV. It's very very capable. Has all the technology that we were thinking it would have. Standard hybrid was the surprise for me and probably for a lot of us. So yeah, we just got to wait for pricing, packaging, and availability will be here in this summer as long as we don't have any more disruptions in the supply chain, things like that. But all right, David, any last words? I'm done talking.
No, just very thankful for you guys to be part of our whole community. We love having you guys, commenting and talking to us. And so really appreciate without any you guys, we wouldn't be here, right? So thank you so much and looking forward to talking to you again.
All right. See you guys. Have a good night.
See you guys. Thanks, everyone.